Thank you for that rousing introduction. My gosh. Whew. Thought we were going to be here all day. Gosh, I was going to say, you know what? Some of you probably could tell a story. We should be fine. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? It's been a minute since I've been here on a Friday. As some of you know, I'm teaching now, so I can't make Friday lunch any longer, but it is very nice to see you all, and I agree, it's nice that we have some sunshine. So today, I just took some notes down, but before I start, I know that it says up there that I'm going to be talking about president-elect training. How many actually knew that I'm going to be president and not Denise? So it seems, okay, a couple of hands, all right, a couple of hands. Some people thought it was going to be Denise, so that's all right. So you could jump ahead if you'd like, Denise. So are you sure you're okay? Okay. Yeah, so I'm here. I'm going to talk about president-elect training. I promised Dennis when I got in line that I would go and do stuff, and so I have notes on stuff that I've been doing. So that was my bargaining chip, and I like to pay my debts. So recently I was not only at PETS, but also at a district seminar with Denise and Glenn, as well as RLI, which I was able to dial in from. It was actually the Northeast RLI, so Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts were represented there. So it was actually really interesting. Got at least one good idea out of that session. So I encourage you, if you can't make the local Rotary Leadership Institute, to go ahead and dial in. It was broken into 2 3-hour sessions, which was nice. I think a 6-hour Zoom might have been a little bit much, but 2 evenings from 6 to 9 was easily digestible. So if that is an opportunity for you, I would highly recommend it. So speaking of Denise, so we have our 100-year anniversary coming up. So I've been referring to my president's year as the lame duck year of 99, because who really cares about 99? So we'll do our level-headed best to have a good year and a good lead up to our 100th anniversary of a club. And I wanted to make that comment because at PETS, and probably there's someone in this room that probably knows which club it is. We heard the unfortunate story of a club that at the age of 99 decided to close its doors, walking into their 100th year anniversary. And it really made me stop and think about the vibrancy and the kind of club that we have, that we're able to not only celebrate 100 years, but certainly look forward to many years to come. Dennis, do you happen to know what that club was? I think it was hyper local to at least the Philly area.
Chambersburg wrapped up recently.
Yeah, it was not Chambersburg. I would have remembered that. But so anyway, so I wanted to make that point that it is a big deal. That we're coming up on our 100-year anniversary, and I look forward to being a part of that celebration with you all. Just a note of save the date. Installation will be on 6/25 out of Harvestview Barn, so I wanted to get a shameless plug in for that. My goal there is to do something outside. I'm not really much for a stuffy sit-down dinner, so my plan is to do it more tailgate style, maybe even a little tribute to my favorite artist, Jimmy Buffett, and have some tailgate games and have some fun. So hopefully you all be able to make it on the 25th, which is a Tuesday. So I just mentioned my why. I promised that I would start to attend a few more district-centric training opportunities before I became president. And I want to just say that, yeah, the Rotary Kool-Aid is pretty sugary. You get a lot of that in a lot of these sessions. And I really tried to go in with very much so an open mind and try to think of new goals that we possibly could have for our club and for myself as well. Our district governor-elect, Paul Thompson, he's challenged us to be more self-aware, probably the best way to put it, doing more assessments on not only ourselves, but also our membership, our club and our community as a whole. I brought along the flag. I won't leave it since it's not quite time yet. But Rotary International President Stephanie was also at PETS, and her year, my upcoming year for Rotary has been termed the magic of Rotary. And the talking point that was stopped down on the most was, do we create an irresistible experience in our club? And that is kind of the direction that I want to start to explore. So the magic of Rotary can be coming together in fellowship, can be coming up with new service ideas, welcoming new members. Nikita, welcome to our club. And doing the things that we all enjoy doing out in our community. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can define what that means. The one that stood out to me was believe there is good in the world. So I like to think that I like to look for the good in most people. If you look at be the good in the world, believe there is good in the world. If you take the be and believe, the and they, and then the word good, that really jumped off the page to me and said, try to be the good. Try to live that servant leadership, that mantra that we all do here in Rotary of trying to be the best that we can for the community that we live in. But jumping back to the irresistible experience, we were talking at our table, and Denise mentioned it about at the district training, looking at other clubs, especially from their social media perspective, what it is that they're putting out there. So I've tried to get access to a few more things here for our club, because I think we could be doing, and I just so happen, according to the spoke, be the public image chair, to do a little bit better job of putting ourselves out there and trying to build on some of the relationships that I have, both in the media as well as here in the community, to try to put that positive light on our club. So another thing that came out of PETS was really the thought process that Rotary kind of has operated a little bit clandestine in the past. So we don't do a good enough job of talking about ourselves, and we kind of just let the service speak for itself. The idea around that is how we're going to grow if people aren't talking about Rotary, if they're not engaging with the activities that we're doing. Another really fun idea that I thought we could initiate right away is a new member project, and having new members take on a service project from start to finish. There's a club in New Hampshire that gives their new members a stipend and allows them to basically, like I said, start to finish, create a new project, activate on the project, see it through, promote it. And it's just another way to get people that are new to the club to start to engage right away. And then partnerships was the other thing that I wanted to stop down on, which is we have some partnerships with our club. Could we be doing more? Are there more partnerships out there that we could have? Does that trickle down effect of having partnerships allow us to grow our member roles with those that want to do good within the world as well? So other things out of PETS that I wanted to touch on, there certainly was a sense of youthfulness in Rotary. There were a lot of even presidents-elect younger than me that were there. So that was really encouraging to see that there is a new generation of doers that are coming up. The other point that I wanted to stop down on was the business of Rotary. And in almost every PET session that I sat in, that concept came up. And Rotary being founded by business people to be able to get to know one another and to be able to network. I think a lot of clubs have kind of gotten away from that idea that it's okay that a lot of us in this room have vocations and professions, or we had a profession or a vocation in our lives, and now we're blessed to be in retirement. And that it's okay to have those conversations again within Rotary, because we look around our town, we have a lot of young business owners. I've seen a lot of young business owners join our club, and I've also seen a lot of young business owners drop out of our club. And so I want to make sure that we are doing right by what those new members' expectations are when they come in the door. And while networking is great, we also want to make sure that we're patronizing, doing the right thing by the new businesses that are in our club. So I wanted to try to bring that to the forefront because that was really a major talking point during Pets this year. The other thing was, and I really resonated well with this, is what does matters to you as a person, not just as a Rotarian. And I brought this up to Una. She was one of the facilitators. And I said, one part about my club that I really enjoyed is that, there are other things outside of Rotary that I do, right? I'm on other boards. Even though I've kind of divested some of that stuff now, I still have a couple that I sit on. And over I joined the club in 2018. Over that time, this club has supported some of the things that I've really have a passion for outside of Rotary. Whether it's Susquehanna Service Dogs, with us sponsoring the event out at Grandview, certainly my time at Reams as the president of Reams, we've had volunteers come and support Reams. We started a blood drive because of Red Cross, and all of those things were really important to me. What I want to do in my present year is I do want to try to get to know everybody in the club. And what are the things that you are interested in outside of Rotary? And because I took it as my club cared about the things that I cared about. And it has helped me evangelize and try to promote our club to other organizations that I sit in order to try to grow members, either elsewhere or here, even in our own club. Because I think it's easy for us to sit back and say, well, Rotary is my number one passion. Okay, great. Maybe it is your only passion, which is totally fine. But if you have other things that are out there, the topic of service projects, are there other things that we could be doing? Are there other ways that we could be engaging in service without it being, what we normally do within our club, right? Is it a blood drive? Is it, is it sponsoring an event? Is it going to help another organization do, a food drive or something like that because it means something to Ralph or it means something to Jeff or to Debbie? Those are the types of opportunities that I would be willing and looking forward to in terms of service outside of just a regular day. Because again, so I teach, right? So I teach, I'm at school 7:45 to 3:45. I have kids that are in that zone of doing everything, right? So the concept of smaller projects more often throughout the year, those are the types of things that I'm personally looking for, okay? Because at 5:30 on a Wednesday, I can't be at the food bank as much as I'd like to be, but I can't be because Aubrey has 3 dance classes that night and Caitlin has back-to-back practices for 3 different sports, right? So it's just difficult considering my place in life. But what I heard out of Pets was smaller projects, more opportunities for service, and I think if I am able to garner from you all, some of those things that you're passionate about, I would like to be a person who wants to put their hand up and help you wherever I can. So let's see, what else did I want to stomp down on? Going back to assessments. So definitely, I've done personal assessments of myself. I mentioned about wanting to meet with everyone. I'm going to start doing that probably soon. It's going to be pretty hard to do in a year probably. So I would like to start setting up some of those conversations. Just maybe a cup of coffee, maybe it's a phone call. But I would just like to get to know people in the club a little bit better. What are we doing within our club and what are we doing within the community? The other thing, oh, sorry, John, I forgot about that. Forgot you had the power up here. I wanted to bring up the My Rotary Knowledge Center as well. If there are things that you want to try to educate yourself on, this was basically a stopping point for every session that I've been in recently is just the importance of getting to know more about Rotary and access to information. This is all available through the myrotary.com site. So, that was basically my talking points. Jeff said to try to drag it out as long as possible. So I did, but I wanted to leave time for questions and anything. So if there's something I mentioned already, if there's something that's on your mind, I'll take some questions. Yes, sir.
Sean, I know you don't have the exact answer, but what would you guess was the ratio of male to female president-elects?
It wasn't even, but it certainly wasn't lopsided. So I would say probably 70-30 is probably fair, maybe 65-35. It definitely was not all predominantly males. So while I guess it was outside of the youthfulness of the room, that was another thing I took notice of.
So, I just want to mention, I was facilitating RLI Saturday in Allentown.
Okay.
And one of the things I noticed were there must have been about 2/3 ladies in the group, over the men. And I'm seeing women in this organization having a huge impact on the growth and change in Rotary.
Well, 100% agree. So in the Zoom ROI that I took part in, I was one of 3 males, and the rest were all female. There was probably 15 people in the call, so it was good to see. Other questions? Yes, sir.
How long is that?
So day one, well, there's kind of a networking evening Thursday, and it is just that. It's an evening. Friday, it went from, I traveled back and forth, so I got there about 7 o'clock. This breakfast started about 7:30, and it broke about 4. And then there was dinner that evening, and then that would have been Saturday, right? Friday. Saturday was 8 till about 12:30, so it wasn't too bad. Yeah, Valley Forge Casino, right off of the turnpike. It was an easy get to. Yes, sir.
I'd like to introduce a thought concerning ourselves. I guess, for lack of a better term, maybe a segment of Rotary that is maybe called the Old Farts Club. But
I'm close to that, Ben.
Well, I see as I'm getting older and into my mid-80s, there was back originally with the Christmas trees, and I was physically able, probably mentally a whole lot more able. And then we had COVID, and I see a whole lot of people that I used to meet with that just kind of went by the wayside, some because of wellness, but a lot of them because of limits they had activity-wise.
Yeah.
Can't go out and pick up trash and can't maybe help like they would have at one time. It just seems to me like there's a gap that all of a sudden you get to a certain point, and maybe we should be making a special effort. How might we utilize, even if a group of those people get together and I don't know,
Yeah.
something not physical, but still be contributing and still feel like a Rotarian, not like an old Rotarian, but an active Rotarian, just not as active.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. And I think that's part of what I want to accomplish in some of those 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 conversations. Is what could that potentially look like? Take that time to brainstorm a little bit on what an idea could be, because there's really nothing that stops us from doing anything, right? And so I think it might just take the time to stop down and think about what those things might look like. And that's, again, that might be one of those smaller projects that I'm talking about, and something that myself could engage in, or someone else that also is, not because I can't do, but more of a, it's a time issue, right? Like for me, it's timing. It's not, the physicality of it, it's timing. But if we plan it the right way, there might be other members that want to help engage in something like that too. So I think it's just finding out and coming up with ideas and making the time to do it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Yes, Nikita.
Jumping off of that, I was thinking, as a new member, still kind of learning the ropes, and perhaps this already exists, but taking a older, more seasoned member with a new member as a buddy or mentorship program,
Yep.
So we can learn about all of the offerings, and also perhaps with that buddy program, we can lean on each other when it comes to service projects or other tasks that
Yep.
I may be more equipped to do compared to someone else. I don't know. Just thought maybe that.
Yeah,
maybe
so over my time in the club, like that has kind of ebbed and flowed. You know, like my mentor is sitting right there. Dennis was my mentor. It's usually the person who recommends you for membership kind of takes on that role, but it hasn't been. I don't think is properly defined in that, and that has happened across a lot of the other clubs as well. The membership idea came up at President-elect training too. Of going back to some type of a mentorship and being able, but at the same time, I think doing a little bit of those one-to-ones, reaching out to the person that recommended, or having those conversations at your table, I think can also do that. Or if you're just clicking with somebody, like you click with someone in the club rather quickly, piggyback off of them. What are they engaging in? Let them kind of show you the ropes a little bit. But that concept of mentorship is still out there. And it's actually the one I was thinking was reverse mentoring, kind of what we were just talking about, right? Is, we have projects that are going on for, we'll say, the majority membership, right? But there's still a factor of our membership that, obviously wants to contribute and can't do harvesting, right? So it's almost like a reverse mentorship. So it's something else that I have written down as a possibility. But I appreciate you bringing that up. So I would first go to your, if you want to call it, sponsor. But even in this room, this room's full of past presidents, district governors. I mean, that was the point Dennis made to me yesterday as we were sitting there, at softball. Is that, I mean, Dennis is a past district governor. We have a table of past presidents over there and future presidents. So any one of those individuals would be a great person to reach out to. I'll go Debbie, then back to Dennis.
One thing that I would suggest is if you've never sat on the board or sat in a Rotary board meeting, to do so. They're open to everybody. You don't realize what all goes on there and how much is involved in the running of the club. And I bet people go there and say, wow, I didn't realize. I thought it was just hang out on Friday afternoons, have lunch together. So I would encourage you to encourage others to attend board meetings.
Yeah, and I'll say it here too. I mean, when I first joined the board, I mean, those board meetings were rough. And so kudos to the last, 3 presidents with Glenn and Debbie and Jeff that have really streamlined that meeting. I remember meetings that were 3 hours, like they were brutal. And so if you're concerned that a board meeting is taking too long, or historically you've heard that board meetings take too long, I can assure you they don't take as long as they did before. So I really do appreciate that they've been streamlined. Dennis.
Sean, you had talked about the Learning Center.
Yes.
And there is a modular learning center for mentorship.
There is.
And there's also another one for engaging members.
Yep.
Both very good modules.
Yep. And also, I mean, sorry,
anybody who wants to go and learn more, there's so many topics to take a look at and choose from.
Yep. And also, what does it mean to get in line of succession? I want to make that point because we were talking about our table. Probably the next best secret in Rotary is where do clubs actually rank in terms of their membership. So what I was able to figure out at Pets is we're probably the 3rd or 4th largest club in our district for the town of Elizabethtown. That's really something to be proud of. And depending on who you ask in the Harrisburg Club, we're either 9 members away from them or we're 14 members away from them. So depending on who you ask, we're in shouting distance of eclipsing another club. Now, York is still the largest club. They're well over 300. They're like in the 20s in terms of largest clubs nationwide, internationally, excuse me. So even at 120, we're not that small of a club. Like I'm sitting in that room and there's people in the teens, in the less than 10s, the 40s. And what I would consider, there's clubs coming in from the greater Philly area to that meeting. So we got a pretty sizable club to the point where after sessions, people are seeking me out, asking me questions about things that we're doing in the club. So that should make all of us feel really proud of what we're doing here. And it should also motivate us to, try to jump up, who's going to be next. I was reading today, and it is such a good, well-kept secret that every club that says they're number one is all hearsay. They're like, we think we're the number one club. Oklahoma City right now says that they're the number one club internationally. They have 650 members. They say they're the number one club. I can't find anything anywhere. If anybody knows how to find that number, I would be really interested in finding it. So somewhere between 650 and 320, where York is, and us at 120, we're not doing too bad here in little old Elizabethtown. So, and that's a kudos to everybody in this room, everyone that comes to Monday, for the work that you do, and just spreading it around to those like-minded individuals in our town that just want to give back, people that want to do. So I got Debbie, I got Dennis. I thought there was one more questions. Please, yes. Thank you, Ralph.
Two things. Mentorship. I'm really biased in favor of that in some form. I think it needs to be somewhat formalized and structured, at least a little bit. So somebody's taking an initiative, and this is what needs to be a mentor, and it can be the person that brought him in, or somebody else.
Yeah.
I could tell you good news stories about mentor things that happened and how important that was.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't fall through the cracks. I spent a year trying to figure out the acronyms. I mean, it took a long, I hung in there.
Yeah.
It was good food.
That's
Anyway,
always, that's important.
You mentioned partnerships, and I wrote that down.
Yeah.
We did a thing with, the Lions, or the Veterans Flag.
Yes, the veteran flags. Yep, Lions Club.
Okay, well, to me, that builds goodwill and better friendships.
Absolutely does.
And I mean, it's partnerships that we do things together locally helps everyone.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Yes, Dave.
What are the best activities in this district? Are there some?
That's a good question.
That have success stories with programs and that kind of thing. Would it be helpful to have a list of some of those things and have maybe a couple of people from this club go out and say, this is what we see in your club. It's a great idea. May we share it?
Yeah.
May we steal it? I don't care.
Yeah. So segueing kind of a little bit, I appreciate that. So what I've dropped on the tables are District 7390 resources. So some clubs put all their doings on the district calendar. So that is one place that I could certainly investigate to see if, to answer your question first, no, there wasn't really something that was, other than that idea that I'm stealing about the new member project. We actually are doing more than most clubs already are doing. It's usually in a similar way. They have a nonprofit partner, and they do a lot of their service with that nonprofit partner, or they have a couple. Other clubs are just doing generalized service. So, generalized, in my opinion, would be picking up during the fair season. They're doing roadside cleanups. There wasn't really a lot going on that I said, wow, those are 3 or 4 things that we could probably do. I actually sat back and said, we're actually doing a lot more than most other clubs are. But that I want to start sharing more with the district site, and I want to take a look at that calendar to see if there are some other things. And a lot of the nuanced ideas, like for example, the billboards that Harrisburg does. Well, they're one of their members is the GM at Lamar Advertising, so a lot of that billboard stuff goes through him. So it's unique in that they have the connection. But other than that, we're doing a lot more than a lot of other clubs. Yes.
And speaking about service projects, if somebody knows of something besides the norm that we always do, that's where we started with the food bank, and we've done unique projects like over at Echoes or back at Gears. If you know of something, let me know. I think we have a very good reputation in this community. If they need something done, such as over at Echoes or wherever, they'll reach out to a Rotarian. I've gotten calls, Denise's gotten calls, can Rotary help with this?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we do have a very good reputation. I think that's also how we get so many service projects, because there's a lot still to do out there that if anybody knows of anything, let us know.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I said earlier about the passion piece, right? Like, go ahead, Dave.
We have director of Chamber of Commerce, very good lady here. One of the first projects that I was involved with 18 years ago in this club or whatever, we were out painting billboards. Remember that? Some of you will. And it sounds like a little kind of thing, and once and done perhaps. But if we looked at the activity and spread that around into more hands-on stuff, maybe not more space, but that seems to be an opportunity.
100%. Yeah, and that's one of those little, I'll call it one of those little projects that, it won't take an entire club to do. It might take 3 or 4 people that have the time to do it. Right, yeah. I got a sprayer, so let's go. Let's get after it. So, thank you. Any other questions? I think that's my time. Thank you very much.